everyone, welcome to DIY with Nancy. Today I'm going to make a Portuguese pastry called Guardanapos, or some people may call them Lenços. And in English what they are, they're either a napkin or a serviette, and it's traditionally filled with a sweet egg cream. In Portuguese we call it Doce de Ovo. And it's what it is, the actual dough is a sponge cake. It's like almost similar to a pão de ló, which I also have here on DIY with Nancy. If you look it up, DIY with Nancy, Portuguese sponge cake, I have that on my channel as well. So stay with me and watch how to make this recipe step by step. Let's move on to the ingredients you'll need for this recipe to make guardanapos or lenços. 6 large eggs at room temperature, 3/4 cups of granulated sugar, 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. For the filling, I have here sweet egg cream, or as you call it in Portuguese, doce de ovo. I've made this recipe here on DIY with Nancy. If you want to look it up, it's DIY with Nancy, sweet egg cream, or doce de ovo. And also leave the link for this recipe at the end of the video. And you also need 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. Now, I'll also leave all these ingredients listed in the description box down below. Let's move on to making this recipe. For the first step, I'm going to use my stand mixer, and I'm also going to use my whisk attachment to do the mixing. So you want to make sure you use your whisk attachment. I'm going to start by placing the 6 eggs and the sugar. I'm going to place the wire whisk attachment. I'm going to turn on the mixer on a medium to high speed and let it mix for 4 minutes until it doubles in volume. Okay, everyone, it has doubled in volume. And now at this point, one last ingredient, the vanilla extract. I'm going to add that in. Mix it for another 15 seconds. And now you can see that it's nice and fluffy. This is how you want your batter. And now we're going to move on to the next step and add the balance of the ingredients. Now the batter is nice and fluffy. This is exactly how you want your batter. And now what I'm going to do is add the last ingredient to the batter, which is the all-purpose flour. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sift in the all-purpose flour. I'm going to place it in here in a sifter. I'm going to sift it in. Okay, I have all the flour in there. And now at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold in the flour very gently. I don't want to take the air out of this batter. So I'm going to continue folding it from the bottom up until I don't see any more flour. I've been folding in the flour into the batter, and I don't see any more flour. I just checked in the bottom as well, just in case it doesn't sink to the bottom. And now I'm ready for the next step. For the next step, I have a sheet pan, and I placed a piece of parchment paper. And what I did with the parchment paper, just to ensure it gets to the 4 corners, let me just move it here. I got the piece of parchment paper just a little larger than sheet pan, and I placed little pieces of, or just a little slight piece here of butter so the parchment paper can stick. And then what I also did is I cut the corners just like that. So that way, when I place the piece of parchment paper right in the center, they overlap and it doesn't bounce back, so the batter can stay in here. And now I'm going to place the batter right onto the sheet pan and spread it evenly. Let's do that. Place it right on here, all of the batter. And I'm just going to use a spatula to even it out. I'm going to move it to the corners first. And then I'll spread it out evenly. Okay, it's ready to go into the oven. I'm gonna bake it at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. My oven is preheated, and I'm gonna bake it for 8 minutes, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. And here we are, the sheet of pain blanc, really that's what it is just out of the oven. It's got a nice golden brown color. 8 minutes is perfect. I'm gonna let this cool for about 3 to 4 minutes, and then I'll show you the next step. Moving on to the next step, I have a sheet of paper that is slightly bigger than the tray, which is an 18 by 13. So I just made it just a little bit bigger. What I'm gonna do is when it cools, I'm going to flip it onto the parchment paper. And what I'm going to do is with the 1/4 cup of sugar, I'm gonna drizzle it right on top of the parchment paper. Start just like that, come along the sides, and then move on to the center. You want to put a generous amount of granulated sugar. Once it cools slightly, so I'm just going to wait about 3 to 4 minutes, and then I'm going to flip it on here and show you the next step. Now I waited about 3 to 4 minutes, and I'm going to flip it right onto the parchment paper with the sugar. Let's do this. Remove the sheet pan. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully remove the parchment paper. Just going to remove the edges first. And there we are. You're going to even out the corners, all the edges. I'm going to remove those pieces so it can be even when we fold the guardanapo or the lenço. And I'm just going to cut it along the edges, just as I'm doing here. I always end up eating these. So good. Now, once you cut the edges, you're ready to place the egg cream. I'm going to place a thin layer of the egg cream. This is so, so delicious. And I'm going to spread it evenly throughout the dough. So I'm going to use a spatula to spread it out, just as I'm doing here. Once you have the sweet egg cream spread out evenly, very thin layer, you're ready to cut it into squares. Now, you can get either 6 or you can get 9. If you want larger guardanapos or lenços, you're gonna cut them into 6. If you want them smaller, you can cut them into 9. I've done both, but I'm gonna cut them into 6 for today. I'm going to just eyeball it. So I'm going to cut the first one right here, and then the second one right here. Now it's wise you have maybe a paper towel or a napkin just to clean out the excess, because it does become sticky. And I'm going to cut it right through. Once again, I'm gonna wipe the knife here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna cut it along the middle. I'm just gonna eyeball it. And down to fold the guardanapos, the lenços, you're basically gonna take it right to the top. pinch it on the top just like that, and place it right on a tray. On to the next one. I'm going to continue folding the guardanapos or lenços, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, everyone, I want to show you this guardanapo. Something I had in Portugal this past summer. The dough in itself, it's very soft. It's a sponge cake. It's delicious. And you can see the egg cream, the dough, the pão de ló, really what it is. So soft, creamy, and a delicious treat. And I hope you give this recipe a try. And that's the recipe for guardanapos filled with sweet egg cream. Napkins filled in with a sweet egg cream. It's a sponge cake. That's what it's made out of. It's very easy to put together. You want to make sure you preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit before you place it in. You want it really hot, 8 minutes, and it's done. Every oven varies, so you may need 10 minutes. Mine, 8. You let it cool for 3-4 minutes. You don't want it completely cooled because it's easier to work with the sponge cake when it's still warm. So it's very delicious. I had this in Portugal and it sort of triggered me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to make these guardanapos or lenços with the sweet egg cream. Now you can fill it with anything you want. Strawberry jam, Nutella, custard, pastry cream, whatever you want, you could fill it in, but traditionally it's filled with the sweet egg cream. So soft. Literally melts in your mouth. You don't even have time to chew it. It's already melting. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the recipe. And if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Take care.